but with great skill from him to wing the Mo Salah! Raheem Sterling! What a finish! What pure class from the Englishman!
Premier Talk, the English Premier League podcast for the fans.
Hello and welcome back to the Premier Talk podcast. I'm one of your two hosts, Andrew Mello. Alongside with me, as always, is the legend, Danny Barbudo.
The legend. What is this?
Daniel, I read the jersey today. You got a little Italian.
Got a new kick going on, you know. We gotta support the Euros coming up. I know, of course, buy this kit a couple months ago, and new deal. Puma's not in next year. Adidas is in next year, and they changed their kit for the Euros.
Yeah, Forza Azzurri. They absolutely missed the mark with their new jersey for the Euro. It looks like a training kit. It looks like a t-shirt.
Oh yeah, it does. It looks like a t-shirt. Brutal.
Yeah, they definitely let themselves down there. Anyways, Daniel, there's some
Huge
big
epi.
huge news this week in the soccer world. We had the Super League. What a shame, honestly. What a shame. We're gonna dive into it. Everyone, I'm sure, has heard about it, but we want to give our take and our perspective of what we think about this league. So we're gonna title this one European Super League, and rightfully so. This is episode 11. Daniel, let's get right into the starting lineup here. We got the match day 32 rundown.
We're not going to do games of the week this week because we figured we'd leave more time for the European Super League. It's going to be a long talk about that. Lots of news. So we're not going to do games of the week. We're going to go a little bit into detail, a couple games, but no games of the week this week. We're going to do European Super League debate.
And then we got the new Champions League format. All right, Daniel.
So we're going to start us off with the match day 32 rundown. Friday, April 16th. It was a weird week for the Premier League because most of the days there was like one or two games and it lasted the entire week. Friday, April 16th, one game. We got Everton versus Tottenham, 2-2. This is a really good game, actually. I think both teams deserve the point. You know, Tottenham hasn't been great as of late. Everton, they haven't been great either, to be completely honest with you. Both got 1 point after this game. Mourinho finally gone. We've been talking about this for a while. I think it was deserved. Supposedly, he got into a fight with the president of their club, saying that he wanted to rest people for this upcoming game because he felt that the League Cup was more important, and he completely disagreed. Big argument there. Eventually got fired. Anyways, moving on to Saturday, April 17th, Newcastle versus West Ham, 3-2. I think this one was a little bit of a shocker, especially how good West Ham's been playing. You got Newcastle. They come out on top in this one. Steal 3 points from West Ham. Jay Ling's again on the score sheet, the GOAT himself. The other game on Saturday, April 17th, was Wolves versus Sheffield. I think everybody expected Wolves to come out on this one. They did, 1-0. Good win for them. Sheffield, I think right now, relegated. I think they've been relegated for the past, I would say, 2 months. I think everybody knew that they were going to get relegated. I think there was no doubt in anyone's mind that they weren't going to get relegated. Moving on to Sunday, April 18th. We got Manchester United versus Burnley. This one ended 3-1 Manchester United. Big win for Manchester United. Come on. I was going to say, oh God, GGMU. I was about to say, come on. I was like, oh no, I can't say come on because then you got come on, you Gunners, and then people, these fraudulent Arsenal fans. And talking about fraudulent Arsenal fans, the other game on Sunday, April 18th was Arsenal versus Fulham. Fulham came out with a point in this one, scoring in the 90th minute, nice and late, 1-1. The most shocking VAR call I've ever seen on Saka. He was about 2 inches offside with his right foot. And if he had one shoe size smaller, it would have been onside. Absolutely shocking that has been called offside. But VAR has been absolutely awful all year. So why not continue their terrible streak? Monday, April 19th, there's only one game again. We got Leeds versus Liverpool. Leeds coming out with a point here, which was a little bit shocking to see if I'm a Liverpool fan. But then again, Liverpool hasn't been great. Andrew, I know you have a transfer everybody wants to hear about because this is absolutely massive news. Just came out this morning right before we started recording. Ibrahima Konate to Liverpool.
Yeah, bang. This is a big transfer rumor for Liverpool. We mentioned this a couple of episodes earlier. We said that Liverpool should sign him, and they did. And they signed him for his release clause, paying it around 35 million euros, which is a big sum. But Daniel, make no mistake, this is the right signing. He's only 21 years old. He hasn't played a ton this year because of injury. So he's been out. He's only played 12 matches. But in those 12 matches, He's had 71 clear duels won, and he's also had 30 aerial duels won in the Bundesliga. So those are some impressive defensive numbers in only a short amount of games. He also bagged a goal, a headed goal that he scored. And Daniel, what is the most impressive stat for me is he was clocked in at 33.57 kilometers. That was his fastest sprint speed. And that is something that Liverpool could really use at the back. It's any big team could really use at the back is pace. A pacey center back. They're very hard to come by. They're getting a youngster here. He looks like he's already played in numerous years at the professional level. He's super talented. The future for France at the center back position. He's definitely going to find. I think he's going to find his way into the European squad this summer. Hopefully, there's a plethora of center back options there, but he would definitely be a great option there. And another center back from Leipzig goes, Upamecano went, and now Konate. So that defense could look a little bit different next year.
Yeah, they're down to one more. They have Mukiele, who plays sometimes fullback, sometimes center back. But that's the last center back, and I think
Hey, don't sleep on Klosterman. I love Lucas Klosterman.
Klosterman, he's fantastic too.
Very
as well.
versatile. Could play as a fullback. Could play as a center half. So very versatile there. So they still got some.
They got some talent still. Yeah, definitely a big signing for Liverpool because they need another center back. This Konate Van Dijk pairing eventually, when it happens next year, is going to be scary. To be completely honest with you, you go Konate, who's fast, and even Van Dijk's pretty fast on himself.
Joe Gomez too is another pacey guy.
They're both massive. This is just going to be a scary. You got the two twin towers you're going to be facing up against as a Premier League striker. It's going to be scary for most strikers. And one thing I really do like about the Bundesliga, and I admire, they have like a really good stat software, I want to call it, that they keep track of like stuff like this, like his fastest top speed, which I know most leagues do sometimes, but they have it for like every single game, which I love. And even at halftime, their halftime shows isn't like you got two people discussing the game so far at half, which is usually what it is, but then they dive into stats of players that are on the pitch currently. And I love that they do that. I think it's fantastic. I think more leagues should implement this because it's great to see cool stats like their top speed, how many passes, distance traveled, all the type of stuff at halftime. I think it's great.
Daniel, I think this signing of Konate really means that Kabak, I don't think they're going to re-sign him. They have the option to buy, but I don't think that he's gonna stick around for too long because they're not going to need him once all these guys come back. He's not going to have any minutes there, in my opinion. And they went and bought Ben Davies, hasn't even played. I think he's played one game maybe. So weird signings there in January. I think they were just trying to stop the bleeding, and this is the real signing. A sign that will actually have an impact. And it would have been good to get him in January, but they weren't able to secure him then. But come next season, come the start of the season, he's definitely going to be around and he's definitely going to be making a statement.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think it's great. We're going to move on to Tuesday, April 20th. This was a weird one again. I think Brighton stole a point off Chelsea, which was huge for Brighton in their relegation. Hopeful of not being relegated because they are currently 6 points, I believe 6 points up on Fulham, which is good for Brighton. No, they are 7 points up on Fulham. So that point was huge because it took them out from 6 points to 7 points, just extending a little bit of distance between them and relegation. Big point for Brighton. Unexpected tie for Chelsea because Chelsea have been great as of late. Moving on to Wednesday, April 21st, we got Aston Villa versus Manchester City. This is a weird one because Aston Villa scored a minute in. They scored like 20 some odd seconds in.
2 red cards as well. That was an interesting fixture there. 2
red cards. You got the first red card coming to John Stones, which is just a brutal tackle, studs up to the knee. Awful.
And then the second one was McGinn, right? He got a second yellow, right?
I don't think it was McGinn. Oh, I forgot what his name was. He's a center mid on Aston Villa.
I think it was McGinn. I think it was McGinn.
Was it McGinn?
Yeah,
it was a second yellow. It wasn't great. Just a dumb tackle. Wasn't needed on Foden. Shouldn't have been done. Anyways, Manchester City came out on top of this one 2-1. I think it was a little bit of a scare here, especially with John Stones getting a straight red like he did when they were tied 1-1 and then putting them down to 10 men. But then as soon as Aston Villa got their red card, you knew City was going to battle back, which they did. There was one more game on Wednesday, April 21st, but this was for match day 29. It was a makeup game because the game had to get rescheduled for some reason. It was Tottenham versus Southampton. Tottenham won this one 2-1. And main talking point in this one was new manager. After firing Marino, they had to bring somebody in. They brought in Ryan Mason.
Former player as well.
He's a former player of Tottenham. He's 29 years old, and he's the youngest manager ever in Premier League history. He had to stop playing for Tottenham because of a brain injury or a head injury, I believe that just doctors advised him
it was gruesome
to stop playing. So he was forced to stop playing. He took on the coaching role, and look at that. His first game for Tottenham comes out with a win. and his second game is going to be the cup final. So we'll see how that one goes as well. And that one is on Sunday, I believe, which we'll be discussing next week. Moving back to match day 32, Thursday, April 22nd, we got Leicester City versus West Brom. Leicester City came out on top 3-0 in this one. I think this was expected. West Brom sitting currently in 19th. Leicester City, they're dealing with injuries. Ian Acho's been fantastic. Bagged another goal in this one. And not much else to say there. We're going to move into a table recap because we haven't done one in a few weeks. And I think that we need to do one just to let you guys all know how the teams are doing if you guys aren't already following. Andrew, I'm going to start us off with the teams that are going through so far. So the top 10, and then if you want to do the bottom 10, we'll move like that. In first, like I think most of you know, we got Manchester City. They've been phenomenal. They got 33 matches played, 77 points. They lost 2 weeks ago, which was a little bit shocking from them, dropping points. But then again, their gap in between first and second, you got 11 points between City and Manchester United.
No chance they're catching them. No chance. Absolutely.
I'm not gonna say no chance because you gotta have a little bit of faith in your team. I'm gonna have a little bit of faith. I don't think that City's gonna drop enough points for Manchester United to come back. Manchester United does have a game in hand, so that could, if they do win their game in hand, they'll drop to 8 points back of first place. But still, too big of a gap for them to overcome. I think City has this one in the bag. So, like I said, second, Manchester United. Third, Leicester City with 59 points, 7 back of United, which is, again, another pretty big gap. Chelsea sitting in fourth currently, 4 points back of Leicester. And then West Ham tied on points with Chelsea, currently sitting in fifth. Tottenham in sixth with 53. Liverpool in seventh with 53. Liverpool in seventh is pretty shocking because they might not even be playing in Europe next year. You got Everton sitting in eighth with 49. Arsenal in ninth, which is, again, pretty ridiculous that Arsenal's sitting in ninth right now, but what else can you expect? Come on, you Gunners. Leeds United sitting in 10th, same points as Arsenal with 46. Andrew, bottom 10.
Yeah, Daniel, we got Aston Villa at 11, Wolves at 12. Then, following them is Crystal Palace and Southampton. Southampton have really tapered off this year since the start of the season. They're sitting with 36 points. And then, Daniel, I just want to skip some of these other teams, like Newcastle follows, then Brighton. But the important one here is Burnley at 17 and then Fulham at 18, right? We have West Brom in 19th with 24, and there's a decent gap there. We're talking 9 points away from staying alive. So I think that's too much of a mountain decline for West Brom. But Fulham, though, they're only 6. They're 2 wins behind. They have one game played more than Burnley, obviously with 33 opposed to 32 of Burnley. But Daniel, I just want to talk about the Fulham fixtures here because Fulham have a slim chance. It's still a chance though. They have to play Burnley in a couple weeks' time. That is going to be a massive, massive game, just because it's a 6-point game because you're taking the 3 away while gaining 3. If they were to win, they also have some notable fixtures. They have a game against Manchester United, which I don't think they're going to be able to win. They have a game against Chelsea, which I don't think they're going to be able to get points from. But they played the end of the season against Newcastle. That's a game where they're going to be definitely able to win. So they also play Southampton, which I could think they can get points there. But those are the 3. Yeah. There's the 3 games there that I think they're really able to go and grab points. Burnley, Southampton, and Newcastle. Burnley's gonna be the biggest match. If they lose that or drop points there, they're done in my opinion. But Chelsea and Manchester United, if they manage to get a point from any of those games, it's gonna be massive. I don't think they will be able to, but Fulham, they're staying alive if they are able to get some crucial points in some of these last games, right?
I would love to see Fulham go and beat Burnley. Just so it comes down to one of those like last couple days. Those last days are huge. Like you said, they're still going to play Newcastle, Southampton. Huge games for them. Burnley, they better hope that they can. I think if they beat Fulham, they're solidified to go through, and then the 3 teams being relegated are Fulham, West Brom, and Sheffield. But I would love to see Fulham win just so it comes down to like those last couple match days.
Yeah, because we already know that the top of the league's pretty much, solidified in terms of who's going to win and who's probably going to make, Champions League and whatnot. I think West Ham's got it down. I think they could do it. But I want to see something at the bottom of the table because you already know it's going to be really hard for West Brom. We already know Sheffield's going down. They haven't won their last 5. They've been poor, obviously, and they're not a Premier League caliber team. Sorry, they had a phenomenal season last year, but not Premier League level. But just quickly here, I think Fulham could do it, and they're a London-based team. They have a big following, and
Mhm.
it'd be nice to see them stay up. I want to see the tables turn a little bit. I don't want to see Fulham go down. I want to see them stay up, and I'd rather see Burnley go down, to be honest.
It's gonna come down, I think, to one of the last couple of days. So we're excited to see that, and we'll keep you guys updated as always. We're gonna move on to probably the biggest talking point in sports over the last. I'm gonna think in soccer history. I'm gonna come on and say it. This is the biggest
100%,
thing
100%.
that happened in soccer football history. It's ridiculous. This was absolutely insane. The European Super League. Andrew, I want you to start us off. Get us at a little bit of details. I have a lot of talk. I have a lot to
Yeah,
talk about in this one. This is gonna be a long one.
the crook, Florentino Perez, the president of Real Madrid. We know he's always been money hungry, and you see it even more so now with this proposed idea that he tried to put into fruition. His vice chairman was Agnelli, the president of Juventus. He's involved there, high up in Juventus. So they were the masterminds behind this, and they really wanted to push through this idea of the Super League. The Super League being a competition that teams would play midweek. They're predominantly it would consist of 20 teams. That's what they were hoping for. They had 12 founding teams that had signed off when they broke the news. They were aiming for 15, and then they wanted 5 to qualify somehow, whatever their qualifications were, which I think is complete BS. There's
Mhm.
no sporting merit there. We're going to get into that still. But obviously, they wanted 20 teams, and there'd be 10 per group, and they'd play a certain amount of matches, and then there'd be qualification to the quarters, semis, finals, whatever, and then they
Mhm.
would play throughout the week, and that would obviously they wouldn't be able to do Champions League at that rate, so that would mean that minimally 12 teams to potential 20 teams would be no longer playing the UCL, which would be detrimental to that competition, a historic competition, one that has brought so many great storylines and
Mhm.
history. It's a historic part of the game. It's a historic part of professional soccer is the Champions League, that competition, right?
Mhm.
So they would have destroyed that competition if this had come to fruition. And then the teams consisted of the big six, the quote unquote big six of the
Quote
Premier
unquote.
League.
Arsenal in ninth.
Yeah,
Liverpool in
Arsenal.
seventh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so there's some of these. So obviously Chelsea, you got City, United, Liverpool, Tottenham, and Arsenal. That's the six, and then they had 3 teams from Italy, 3 teams from Spain. The 3 teams from Italy being Atleti, or no, from Italy being Juve, AC Milan, and Inter. And
Mhm.
then from Spain, they obviously had Atleti, they had Real Madrid and Barcelona.
Mhm.
So this fell through, Daniel, midweek because of the uproar from the soccer community, the footballing community, and fans. Everyone, there's over a billion tweets about the Super League, no to Super League, and people just trying to petition for this to not go through because it would ruin the game. It would
It would.
absolutely
Mhm.
ruin the game. And this was only ever about money. This competition, because any team that would participate would be I think the number that they're throwing out was around $4 billion in revenue they would make, which
Mhm.
is crazy. But it'd obviously be detrimental to the league, to numerous leagues. And UEFA came out and they slammed the Super League, and they said, hey, if anyone participating, any player is not going to be able to play in any other UEFA competition. So that would mean
Mhm.
is the World Cup up in the air? Is the Euro Cup up in the air
Mhm.
now?
They said
Because
international play. They said
they
no
would
UEFA nothing. It was ridiculous.
exactly. So that would be detrimental to those competitions, right? And then they were mentioning that there would be this year's Champions League teams, the 4 remaining teams that were obviously involved in the Super League would be kicked out. There'd be no Champions League this year. So there's a lot of things up in the air that we didn't know was going to happen. Daniel, I just want to hear your take on the Super League and how you feel from a football perspective, a football fan perspective of this proposed league. Are you for?
Yeah,
Are you against?
I'm completely against this. I think like most soccer fans, they are completely against this. This is absolutely ridiculous. You got people, one of the investors, most of the investors are from American investors. They're trying to Americanize the sport, and they don't understand that like people in Europe care so much about teams and care so much about competitions. And I think without the fan uproar, the amount of fans and tweets and posts, everything, this league had the potential to go through. I think it really did. I think that they didn't realize how much uproar they would get. There was people outside of stadiums going nuts. They got into the Liverpool fans got into the locker room and hung up signs like saying like shame on you guys for participating in this and agreeing to this. It was ridiculous. I cannot believe that this was even a proposed idea. I think this is all about money. People were just trying to get a nice little payday. Like you said, teams would get $4 billion to participate, and I think up front they would get $350 million to go for like spending money and to upgrade like stadiums and to put the crest all over their kits and stuff like that. It was ridiculous. I cannot believe how money hungry these people were that they were willing to risk all of UEFA, which is Champions League, Europa League, and then the Conference League coming out next year. They're willing to risk international play. It was absolutely insane. They were willing to risk getting kicked out of their own leagues, their own domestic leagues that they've been fighting in for. Teams have been fighting in those leagues for hundreds of years. I cannot.
Imagine a Premier League season without the likes of Manchester City,
Yeah,
Man United,
it's ridiculous.
Chelsea, Tottenham, Arsenal, Liverpool. Imagine like a couple years back, Wolves would have topped the league. Like that's how serious we're talking. Like
I
without
know.
those teams, Leicester would have topped the league again. You know what I'm saying? Like
You-
Leeds would have been a third place team this year. So like it's just crazy to think of that.
I know it's ridiculous. Even if you think about it, like international play, as soon as they said that I think they knew UEFA would basically pressed as hard as they could, knowing that they could risk. They were willing to risk everything to gain everything back. They said that they wouldn't be allowed in any of the Champions League. Without them, those 12 teams in the Champions League that had already agreed, the Champions League wouldn't exist anymore. Like, let's be completely honest with ourselves. Champions League final would be like Everton versus like whoever you even Atalanta. Like, does anybody want to see that as your Champions League final? No, nobody wants to see that. That competition is going to go by the wayside. It's going to be done. Europa League is going to be shocking. This new Conference League is going to be absolutely terrible. You're going to have teams that are finishing in like 13th in the Prem are going to be playing
You
in
can have
like
a 14th place Bulgarian
knockaround.
team playing. So
Yeah, it's going to be absolutely ridiculous. They didn't understand this. I think UEFA knew that they had to get this league back, so they were willing to risk everything. They said no international play. World Cup, you got World Cup. This is possibly Messi and Ronaldo's last World Cup. What are you going to have? No Messi and no Ronaldo in the World Cup? You're going to have all these players. They're going to be looking at like second division teams to fill up their national squads. It's going to be ridiculous. Like it's just insane. Like half of the Spanish team is Madrid, Barca, Atleti. So what's the Spanish team without those teams? Half of the Italy team is Juve.
Oh, and PSG was another
AC.
team that we forgot to mention as well. Sorry, PSG was involved in this league, weren't they? Or no?
No, PSG wasn't. So they were like
they're-
they never agreed. There was never any agreement. They said that they were kind of against it. I don't know. There were still talks going on there. I know both of the top German teams, Dortmund and Bayern Munich, they said
Credit to
they
them.
said,
Absolute
them.
credit to them.
I think okay, so in the German league works a little bit differently. Fans have 51% ownership of the team. There is no one owner, so the owner couldn't just go and decide because they don't have
It's
enough
like
power to.
it's like Benfica too. Benfica is a similar. I know because I've been obviously involved with the club, right, and as a fan, right. So it's done by they're called socios. So like they're like members really, and they pay to be a part of a membership, and they get to vote on certain things. So like the presidency is one of those things. So like similar to Bayern Munich, right?
Yeah. So I'm so happy that those teams said no to it. But then again, if you see those teams saying no to it, that means that it's going to be Bayern Munich, Dortmund, and PSG that are going to continue on Champions League and Europa League if they do get knocked out of Champions League. Like, do they not realize that there's only three big teams? They all the I think all top five teams would go by the wayside. To be completely honest with you, there wouldn't be enough money and revenue and in people watching for them to continue to stay afloat. It means that in the English like 10th division, like there's no 10, 9, 8. I think they're going to be completely. There's going to be no English other than the Prem. All those competitions are going to go by the wayside. I think that there's just like they didn't think about these type of things, and from a fan perspective, it's disgusting that they didn't. It's ridiculous.
They went behind the backs of players. They went behind the backs of fans. It was an absolute slap in the face to the footballing community. The situation. The situation is pretty messed up. If UEFA are the good guys and FIFA are the good guys, it's pretty funny to think about it like that.
Yeah. Oh, I know it's ridiculous.
And it was absolutely a disgrace to even propose this idea. It is it's doing such a disservice to the footballing history and everything that's been built up over the last hundreds of years, since football's existed at the level it has. And think about it, Daniel, this wouldn't just affect Premier Leagues. This would affect second division teams, third division teams.
There would be no more. That's
It
it.
would spiral downwards and just absolutely end some teams. Some teams wouldn't be able to survive, the lack of the funding, right, that they're so accustomed to. So this is an absolute joke. I said it was a joke as soon as it came out. I was shocked to see it come out to be proposed. It's only ever been about money, and it will always be about money. And it's pretty stupid knowing that Tottenham would be in this competition, and Arsenal would be in this competition when they're sitting farther behind like a Leicester. And
Mhm.
why is Tottenham in the Super League when they're getting beat by Zagreb? So you know what I'm saying? Like, why are
Yeah,
these
it
teams
all comes down to
considered
money.
to be a part of the Super League? It's
Mhm.
it's Daniel, all about money, because they have money, because they have the connection with these other rich clubs. They're put in. There's no sporting merit here.
Mhm.
That's everything that football is about. That's everything that is sport is about. That's the foundation of sport. Is that there's competition. You have to compete in order to receive accolades, in order to receive trophies, in order
Mhm.
to you know see yourself and be regarded as a top team, as a superior team, as a championship level team. And for you just to be thrown in this competition on the basis of money alone is an absolute
Mhm.
joke. I'm trying not to swear here because that it makes me so angry.
Mhm.
It makes my blood boil when I'm like talking about this, because there's no sporting merit. There's no history to some of these clubs, and they're just tossed into this competition, right? I could name numerous teams. Ajax, is a club with so much history, more trophies than some of these teams
Mhm.
combined, right? Benfica
Mhm.
is another one. There's loads of teams that have built themselves up throughout the course of history and have the fan bases they have because they're respectable clubs with class.
Mhm.
And it's honestly sickening to see how money has corrupted this game, has corrupted the sport that so many people around the world love. And it shows you. I'm honestly so impressed and so grateful that fans from these respective clubs came out, protested this, and that's the beauty of the sport. People coming together and sharing their passion, sharing their love, and fighting for what they believe in, and that's so important here. Because the Super League would have just destroyed football. It was like football was ending on that day when the news came out, if it had come into reality, and it came to reality. So it was definitely a scary week for soccer, and I'm absolutely disgusted that these people that don't even care about the game are trying to ruin it, right? And
Mhm.
Florentino Perez said people 16 to 24 don't care about watching the Champions League. That's an absolute lie, because
Yeah, I know.
all my friends
We're in Canada, and the amount of people that we know that go and
exactly.
watch it, we're not even associated with European soccer or European football, and we're going and watching, taking time out of our days to watch Champions League. That stat that he threw out there was disgusting.
Yeah, there's no foundation to these comments or remarks. He says he's trying to save football. Well, in fact, he's actually he's destabilizing football. That's what he was doing by proposing this idea. And if you're for it, I don't understand where you're coming from, because football, like I'm gonna say again, is all about competition. You have to earn your respect in this game, and by just tossing some teams in there because they got dollars behind them
Mhm.
is disgusting. It's honestly disgusting. And if it had come into reality, this league, I could, Daniel, I promise you on my life, I would not tune into a single game. I would not,
Mhm.
because it's complete BS. It's garbage.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I don't think that there would have been much. Like my two favorite teams, like you guys know I'm a big Manchester United fan. I think Messi is the greatest player in the world, so I support Barcelona as well. I like it's sad to see that two of my favorite clubs were accepting to this. Like I don't understand
Daniel,
that.
I
I
would have
think
been embarrassed if Benfica had been involved. I would have been
I know
embarrassed.
it is. It's
Embarrassed.
disgusting. There was people who were coming straight out on Twitter, on Instagram, saying that if their team accepts this, they're not going to support that team anymore. Like I think that's the reality of it. I think that there was people who were willing to not watch soccer anymore if this came into fruition. So thank God it didn't. And another thing that I wanted to discuss, there was going to be 12 founding teams. They wanted to get to 15 founding teams, with 5 teams qualifying in every single year. 5 teams would qualify.
And what's the basis of competition? There's all these leagues out there. Some leagues, like, what are you gonna go on points? Like, what are you gonna
Mhm.
do this on the basis of? That's
But the
where I don't like it. That's corruption there. Like, how are you gonna decide? Say, second team, second place in France is better than the first place team in
Mhm.
Portugal or in Russia. Like, how do you choose on a given year
Yeah,
who
yeah, no, it
qualifies? It
was.
doesn't make sense to me.
And what makes that even worse is that those 15 founding teams could not get relegated. So the 5 teams would qualify, 3 of them would be relegated, 2 of them would stay in the league for the next year. But even if the founding teams, let's say I'm gonna just pick on 3 teams right here. I'm gonna pick on Arsenal, Tottenham, and Chelsea. Let's just say, just for argument's sake, Arsenal, Tottenham, and Chelsea finished in 20th, 19th, and 18th. They still could not
They
get
would stay
relegated
up. That's
because
a joke, Daniel. That's a
because
joke,
they
man.
were part of the founding teams. That is disgusting. The fact that you might finish the worst in the league and you still might not even get relegated because you paid or you were paid money. You're a founding team in this league. I can't even
There's
believe that
no
was a thing.
validity there at all. There's no validity whatsoever, and that doesn't substantiate the league at all. It doesn't make the league uh real. It's a joke.
Mhm,
It's about you know accumulating dollars, and
mhm,
that's all it ever will be. It's just it's just greed, man. It's so pathetic to even talk about it. Like it's just
mhm,
I don't know. It's sickening to me as a football fan. I don't know. It would ruin the ability for lower tier teams to build themselves up and go on these
yeah.
runs, right? We would never see these underdog stories again. We would never see imagine never seeing a Leicester City go and win the league like they did in 2016.
Mhm.
We would have
It
never
wouldn't
seen
happen.
that. It wouldn't happen. It wouldn't happen.
Mhm,
It would just destabilize football. It would eradicate the beautiful moments, these unscripted and natural moments that we're so accustomed to seeing. And we would have never seen the Ajax run in the Champions League a couple of years back. That was truly
Atalanta run.
phenomenal.
Who never
Yeah,
was on that.
Atalanta run, the Leipzig run a couple of years back. These runs that make football so special because on a given day any team could win, and that's the beauty of soccer. And if you're just tossing in teams because they got money, there's no special feeling you get when you're tuning into a match. And
Mhm,
I really hope this doesn't, I fear that after the Euros, because they're not giving up completely. I have fears that they're going to try to go and negotiate and with
mhm.
UEFA and try to do something here, and I'm not looking forward to that if that's going to be the case. So I really hope that that doesn't come around. So
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Even like people are even looking into the fact that like you got rivalries. Like there's like the Manchester Derby that happens twice a year. It's two
it
massive
wouldn't be
games.
special. It wouldn't be
It's not
special anymore
special
then.
anymore. You got the Barca versus Real Madrid. Like those type of games like aren't special anymore when everybody's in the same league. You're playing them 4 times a year. Like games would happen like every single week. They said that there was going to be way more games. They wanted to make it so that there was more than just you're playing every team twice. They wanted to make way more games in it. None of that's special anymore. Like you're not fighting in front of your home crowd. Like it's I don't understand the whole concept of this concept is just money. That was the whole concept of this league. But I don't understand how they expected teams like okay, so the presidents were the only people that needed to sign on, and there was even like chairman coming out. Like I know Maldini came out and he said that he heard about the news right when we did. Like as soon as it got announced,
Oh,
that's when he heard.
they kept it under the table. They
Like
kept
they
it under
kept
the
it
table.
so like okay, obviously there was talk going on that they wanted to start this and they wanted to start a new league, and UEFA weren't okay with it, but nobody knew the extent of this league. They just knew that they wanted to start something. People thought it was going to be like kind of like a Champions League type thing, where it's like a tournament that would be played of like the top teams, which is like okay, sure, like everybody stays in the domestic league. It's you play a tournament with the top teams, but it's not like founding teams and then those teams can't get relegated and then those teams are always going to stay because they have the most money, the most power. That's disgusting. And like I just don't like I don't even know where presidents were coming from. And the fact that there was chairman like Maldini, he came out and he said that he didn't even know about it, that they kept it so quiet to the point where only the
I
presidents
know
of
the
each club
players
knew
had
about it.
no
The
idea. Like
players didn't know about it. It was
this is something
ridiculous.
that would affect their career in a drastic manner, in a drastic tone. And imagine like the courses of many players' careers would be, they'd be much different if this had
Hmm.
come into reality. And I really hope this doesn't come back. And I'm just scared that it would come back because it would ruin my love for the game, Dan. And it would ruin a
Hmm.
lot of people's love and the passion that they have for games. You mentioned like the imagine Barcelona and Real Madrid playing every other week. It would take away from that anticipation of those games, the rarity
Hmm.
of those games. They're only played once or twice a season, right? So
Hmm.
these are truly special footballing moments and footballing fixtures, and for them to be played on a regular basis just takes away from the spectacle that what is an El Clasico, what is a Manchester derby or a London derby, right? These are
Hmm.
special days that we all look forward to, and if they're occurring on a week, a bi-weekly or whatever on a monthly basis, it's not fun. It's not fun, Dan.
Hmm. Yeah,
Not
I
fun.
completely agree. I think that they said that they're gonna try again. They said that the idea of the European Super League is not done.
Mhm.
I hope that UEFA shuts it down completely. And you see, like you said, UEFA and FIFA being the good guys for us, it's weird to see because there's been corrupt. I think there's been plenty of corruption that's happened between those two major players
I
in the
loved
soccer
I
world.
loved how the UEFA president came out and he's like, "Oh, there's snakes close to
There's
us."
snakes. Yeah, snakes
I
close
thought
to
that
us.
was
That
hilarious.
was actually shocking though, because one of the guys who's high up, I don't know if it's Agnelli. I think it's Agnelli. He's the godfather of what of the UEFA president's son,
Oh wow.
and he didn't. And the UA there was no talk about this, and like that's like almost I consider that family, your godparents. That's family almost. You're not even talking to your family about stuff that you're proposing that's going directly against their views. Like the fact that that can be kept under the table without letting others know is absolutely insane.
Daniel, I understand there needs to be like a commodification of the sport here, where they need to make some money. Obviously, that's a reality.
Yeah, obviously, because there's
Soccer's be,
teams because of
soccer,
COVID.
soccer and professional sport has become a business. There needs to be
Mhm,
money made, and it's a big part of the economy in England, as we all know. And
mhm.
the prime minister even came out and said there'd be sanctions if they had gone through with this. And imagine some of these Premier League teams being relegated to the fifth division if they wanted to come back, and that it escalated even further. That'd be absolutely nuts.
Mhm.
Um, but again, this would take away from those smaller teams trying to fight, to build themselves up. We would have never seen like all these great stories. And I may be repeating myself here, and you may be repeating yourself here, but it just shows you like the passion where we're coming from as footballing fans, because
Mhm.
this is a sport that is deeply rooted in our lives, right? So uh it would have just shifted my whole view and perspective on the game, and it would have absolutely destroyed my admiration for the beautiful game. It
Mhm.
would have
Yep, I
100%.
completely agree. I completely agree with you. Guys, let us know how you feel. We're on Instagram at Premier Talk Podcast, on YouTube. Even if you want to just DM us or anything, just let us know how you feel. We're very strong about our opinions, and we don't think it's going to be great. But if you somehow feel like this is going to be good, like Andrew said,
And
money
Daniel,
needs
this
to be
this
made.
Daniel, this clown Paris, he says, "Oh, we'll just make our own World Cup." Are you dumb?
Yeah,
Are you
no, he's
dumb? Like,
lost.
are
The
you
guy's
dumb? Like this,
lost.
he's absolutely, he needs a map. Like, he needs to come back down to reality, because this
Hmm.
guy's he's a bum, man. He's trying to, you can't create your own World Cup. It doesn't work that. You can't create these things, because these are competitions with deep ties to history, and you can't
Been
just
around for hundreds of
yeah,
years, and
you
he's
can't
just
just
ready to start a new one.
yeah, who are you to come and ruin the game and try to
Hmm.
change things in the way you're trying to change things? This is something we'll continue to talk about, and continue to stay tuned. The part like Daniel said, we want to hear some of your opinions as well, because this is huge news. And I'm so thrilled that the fans came out in the way they did, in the
Hmm.
manner they did, because we had to come together. This is a community, right? And it's absolutely beautiful to see the way people came together to petition and try to put a stop to this nonsense. And
Hmm.
I'm proud. I'm really proud.
Oh my, I can't express enough how impressive it is for fans to come out and say that they don't want a part of this. And even you saw online, it was
Soccer, yeah. Go ahead, Daniel.
there was
Sorry.
there was fans online who were saying like fans won European Super League nothing. Like it was great to see. I think that was so deserved for the amount of fans that put heart and time and dedication and money into these clubs. Even lower tier clubs. You see lower tier clubs in England, there's fans. They always, their stadium's always full. You support your team for life. That's how it is in Europe, and I love that, and I'm so glad that the fans came out to support UEFA and FIFA. Not that they deserve to be supported, because there's still is corruption going on there. That's a whole different story. But to support that European Super League should not go on. It was a bad idea. It was all money rooted, and it should not have ever have even been. It should like this shouldn't even have been an idea. Like, to be honest with you, like, it's
Yeah,
ridiculous that this is an idea.
yeah. I forgot what I was gonna say now, but
Sorry, I
yeah, it was
apologize.
no,
Cut you
no,
off.
it's good. I was gonna cut you off. I was just so excited to say I can't remember now what it was. Maybe it'll come back to me, but we're gonna go into the next segment, the new Champions League format. This may be in light of it came out before, but this
Hmm.
may be in light. Maybe there's some little whispers coming around the soccer higher up in the soccer levels. Maybe this is why the new Champions League format has been proposed, along with obviously, what's the competition called again, lower than the Europa League that you mentioned?
The Conference League.
Yeah,
That's what they were
it's
thinking.
a weird name.
Yeah, I didn't like the name either. I think they could have come up with something a little bit better.
Yeah, a little better.
Each
Uh,
their own, I guess.
but yeah, so Daniel, I don't know if you want to get into this here with the format, because you know it better than I do. We briefly discussed it off camera, but
Yeah, this format is a little bit, it's different. It's kind of the same as Champions League, but they're added to a lot more games, and there's a little bit more teams now. So before it used to be 8 groups of 4, you would play the top two teams from each would advance into the round of 16, and that's how it would be played out. Now it's a little bit different. There's 36 teams instead of 32. It gives the opportunity for four more teams to play in the Champions League. So that was the whole thought process behind it. They wanted more teams in the Champions League, and more teams, more games, and more revenue, I guess, for each team because they would
Oh,
have more
100%,
games,
100%, 100%
which
more.
is I think is needed, especially with COVID going on. Like we said, they need to make a little bit of money because COVID has put teams into millions of dollars of debt. Even you look at teams like Barcelona. Barcelona's like people have said they're $1 billion in debt. You look at Tottenham, they're like $750 million in debt. It's ridiculous. There's too much debt going around in these teams. Teams aren't going to be able to survive that much longer. So that's something needed to happen. I think this is it, but I think that a lot of people in the soccer world, I know coaches and players are not a big fan of this, especially because how many more games being played. We'll get into that a little bit deeper later. I'm just going to discuss more of the format. It's not going to be you play three opponents twice, one home and away, but instead you're going to face 10 different teams. Half of them are going to be at home, half away. So 5 games at home, 5 away. Of the 4 extra slots, 2 slots are going to be awarded to the 2 clubs that have the highest club coefficient. This is UEFA's way of making still top teams coming into this competition, even if they're not necessarily the top teams. So 2 teams that are automatically qualified for the Champions League stage, but have not qualified for, they haven't qualified for Champions League. So 2 of the highest teams that haven't qualified for Champions League,
Right.
but they've qualified for the Champions League qualification stage. So that's like the 5th place team and the 6th place team. Or they've qualified for either Europa League and the Europa New Conference League coming in. So if you've made it into one of those 3, the Champions League qualification, the Europa League, or the Conference League, and you're ranked high enough on UEFA's scale of this coefficient, you're automatically put into this new Champions League. So this year it would have been, I believe it would have been Tottenham and Liverpool, or Tottenham and Arsenal. So those would have been the 2 teams that are highest coefficient that would have made it into. Those 2 teams would have made it into the Europa Conference League starting next year. So that's why they would have been pushed up to Champions League, because they're the 2 highest teams with the highest club coefficient. Again, it's a little bit sketchy here because you're putting clubs that don't necessarily deserve to be in Champions League, but are the biggest clubs into this competition, which is why people are like, isn't this kind of what the Super League's doing? Sort of, but not really. I get where UEFA is coming from, that they want to put 2 of the better teams into this, but then they're not necessarily the better teams. They just might be teams that have they're ranked higher. I don't know. It's a little bit weird. People didn't like this. Then the 2 other spots, you got 1 spot would go to the 3rd place finisher in the 5th ranked league by UEFA's calculation. So currently the 5th ranked league is the Ligue 1. That's the 5th ranked league, and whoever's in 3rd right now would be pushed into Champions League. That's how that would work. And then the other spot would go to a domestic champion, one who gets thrown into the current summer playoffs. So whoever, if you finish 6th or 5th in your domestic league, and then you go into the playoff round to get into Champions League, whoever finished first in that would be the last team to get through. Okay, so a little bit changes there. It's a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sorry to cut you off. So did you want to?
No, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, the thing for me with the Champions League is the exclusivity of it, right? It's the top teams, or supposedly, it's supposed to be. The idea is that the top teams are there. I think that from a professional player perspective, from a club perspective, they don't want this. They don't want this because it's more games for the players, right? Obviously, but from a money standpoint, this is great because it's more televised game, more sponsorship, more TV deals. More money involved in those TV deals.
Yep.
So it's good from that perspective in terms of generating some more income, right? But from a fan perspective, I don't think the Champions League needs to be changed personally. I think it would be kind of cool to see more games in the group stage, because it kind of does get a little bit repetitive when I'm playing a leg away to this team and leg away to that team. When there's more variation, you get more clubs. You know what I'm saying? In the group stages early on, but you're gonna get those games anyways, those great games in the knockout rounds anyways. So I'm a little bit divided on this one. I like the format already as it is. With this new, you mentioned that conference league coming in, so that's going to be like a lower tier of the Europa League. So that'll give more opportunity to some of those smaller clubs. I like that idea actually, because obviously some of these teams never really get to compete in the Europa League, so it'd be kind of cool to see, because I think it'd still be highly competitive fixtures too.
Yeah, I think it would be.
I think it would be nice for a little bit more of an incentive for these smaller clubs to obviously further themselves financially, one, and then two, have some more added competition. And it would kind of almost balance the playing field, because if you think about it, if these big clubs are playing these midweek games and then these other clubs aren't, it would also almost balance the field. But then you could argue that these teams have more money, more depth, whatever. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a double-edged sword, right? It's a
Yeah.
double-sided sword. So
Yeah.
but I like the conference idea. This one I'm a little bit on the fence about,
Mm-hmm.
because I don't mind the format as it is now, Daniel. I like it. It's competitive. It's the best teams,
Mm-hmm.
supposedly the best teams, right?
Yep.
So yeah, I like it the way it is. I want to change it.
The knockout round does change as well. This is
It'll
more
go to
of
round of 32.
format. No, it's a little bit different. It's whoever finishes first. So because you're playing 10 games now, it's basically just like one big league almost. There's 36
Right.
teams, first to eighth. So first to eighth automatically get put through to the knockout round.
So bottom
Ninth,
two teams go down to Europa, correct?
no, it's a little bit different. It's so basically first to eighth gets pushed into the knockout round, and then ninth to 24th they play a two. So I think it's gonna go. If you finish ninth, you play 24th, 23rd plays 10th, 11th plays 22nd, and so on. So basically, the higher up you finish, if you're not in the top eight, you get to play the lowest seed that's left.
Mm-hmm.
They would play a two leg, a home and away, to determine the other eight teams. So of those, whoever finishes out of the aggregate, the top eight go through to the quarterfinals with the front eight, with first to eighth. I don't know how the demotion thing works. I don't know who gets demoted to Europa League and then who would
Mm-hmm.
get demoted to Conference League. I don't know how that works. I think they're still trying to figure it out. I think they have like a good idea of what's going to happen, but they're not 100% sure what's going to happen with that yet. But this is just, again, more games. You're getting 9th to 24th. It's not just the top 16 teams advance. They want to do the top 8 teams to advance. So like it's harder to advance almost. And then 9th to 24th, you play two legs to determine the 8 of the teams who advance.
That's a lot of
Again,
games, Daniel. I
it's a
think
lot.
I think the number shows 225 instead of the
Yes.
regular 125. That's 100 more
So
games, Daniel. That's
that
a
was
lot of
my next
football.
point. Yep. It goes 225 games of Champions League instead of 125 games, which is where clubs started to intervene, especially managers, saying that, like, if you already look at this year, you look at some teams that are getting absolutely killed with injuries. And let's say you are part of Champions League, you're playing more games than usual. You're part of the Europa League, you're playing more games than usual. Now, if you're part of Champions League, you're playing way more games. Like
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
we don't want the level to drop in the Champions League. We want the best lineups coming out, because if you're playing more games, I think that that the idea that where managers would intervene and they'd rotate their squad a lot more. You know what I'm saying? I
Mm-hmm.
know they play their substitute players more often. So those big names you would see less often, because you have
Mm-hmm.
to balance the workload between a league, between the new Champions League format, and then obviously you have your cup ties and your domestic leagues as well. So it'd be a lot more football for these players.
Mm-hmm.
I guarantee you, Daniel, it'd be an upward trend of injuries,
Of
or
injuries, it has
it'd
to
be
be.
it would be a regular amount of injuries.
Yeah, the correlation between games and injuries is definitely going to go up. You're going to be playing a lot more games.
And
It's going to be difficult to manage.
that's Daniel. That's where I would draw the line here, is the players. The players, they come first, because there's no soccer without players, and
Mm-hmm.
fans was another thing too. I was going to mention, that's where it came back to me now. Fans, there's no soccer without fans, right?
Mm-hmm.
But uh, yeah, I think we should try to maintain the health of players, right? Especially in the COVID era too. It'd be kind of messed up to implement this, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I completely agree. I think that this format is currently gone through, but I think they're still waiting to debate it a little bit more, because this was a Champions League thing. Like you said, that teams need more money. There's teams that are too far in debt that they don't look like they're going to recover, especially big teams, which obviously eventually it's going to come to a point where, like Barcelona, they're $1 billion in debt or something like that. It's ridiculous. But you're paying Messi $600 million a year over 5 years, which is a lot. And it's probably why they're in a lot of debt. But then again, if you look at Messi, his jersey sales and the stuff that he does for the club definitely brings in more money than they're giving him. So you can't just say it's big contracts, because then again, like, obviously you still got to maintain fields. There's no fans anymore. You're not generating revenue from food sales and ticket sales and that type of stuff, which is obviously a lot of money for these clubs. Money needs to come somewhere. I know money is the root of all evil, and it's why
It
stuff
makes the
like
world go. Money makes the world go around, Daniel.
it's stuff, but it's the reason why the European Super League was even introduced. It's all money. I know this Champions League format, again, it's kind of a money thing, but at the same time, it's like people just want to see more Champions League games to be played. So I'm like you, I'm on the fence about it. I think that if they can maybe shorten the games a little bit, because I think 100 more games is a little bit too much. Um, I think
Conference League is a good idea though. I like that. I like.
Yeah,
that.
I'm with you. I like the
I
conference.
would
League.
like to see an Everton, maybe. You still have top teams in there because Everton.
You
Has,
got I think you're going
yeah,
to see Leeds. You're going to see Everton. You're going to see teams
yeah.
like that.
Wolves would be a cool one to see in
Yeah,
there. Wolves
yeah.
can make Europa League, but they had an off season this year. But then
Mhm.
you get these like lower tier sides that would be, that miss out on your, a Europa League. You have some of these lower tier Portuguese sides, these lower tier French sides. Like a Marseille or something coming in because Marseille they're a historic club. It would be nice to see them in a European competition once again. So I'm for that. I'm really for that one.
Yeah. Anyways, it was a good episode. Episode 12. Next week, we got for you
11,
guys.
Daniel. This is episode 11.
Episode 11. My bad. I said 12. Next week's episode 12. We got next week for you guys. We're going to do a little Premier League team of the season. For those of you, I know FIFA are kind of lining up exactly with them. They're dropping team of the season this week. We're going to do a little Premier League team of the season. We're probably going to discuss maybe top 11. We're going to do a starting 11 and maybe
Daniel,
a couple
extras. Sorry, Daniel. I want to put up on our Instagram story too. We're going to put up a bunch of names. We're going to do midfielder shortlist. We're going to do a goalkeeping shortlist, a striking shortlist, and we want the fans to vote. So we're going to have our respective, players that we want to see in these lineups and as the team of the season. But we want to also see the community. So we're going to put out a vote. You guys say yes or no. If you, for example, I don't know, Ederson, yes or no, should he be in it? So stuff like that. So we want to hear what you guys have to say about it. And you guys are going to have your own fan-based team of the season.
Yeah, no, love it. We're going to get the guys to you guys next episode. Like always, we're on Google Podcast, Spotify Podcast, Apple Podcast, wherever you guys want to listen to us. We're there. Thank you for tuning in. As always, we really appreciate it.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it. We want to hear your feedback as well on the social media. That wraps it up. Episode 11, Daniel. Another one in the books. We're getting closer to the end of the Premier League season here, to the end of the footballing season. It's going to go down to the wire for a lot of games, a lot of teams. That wraps it up. Episode 11. See you guys next time. Peace out.
See you later.